Welcome. My name is Keith Lehman, and I am a math teacher here at Fargo North, and I'll be having your student here in Algebra 1 for the upcoming school year. Just due to the odd nature of the beginning of this school year, I thought I'd put together a quick video, outline the course a little bit, introduce myself, and I won't take up too much of your time here. So before we get started, just because I don't know how much of an opportunity you'll have to get into the building at all this year, maybe we'll take a quick look at my classroom. So as you can see, we've taken some precautions in terms of social distancing. Each row is 6 feet apart. So we've got 6 or 7 chairs per row, and we've got 6 rows, each of which are 6 feet apart from one another. Also, you can't really see it, but on that back table, we have a check-in and check-out sheet. So if a student decides to leave the room, they're gonna have to sign in and sign out. And that will be good for if we need to check who people have come into contact with if there is a positive case. Also have plenty of cleaning supplies, hand sanitizer. So we really are going to do our best here at North, keep people safe, keep people healthy, and try to minimize the impact of COVID-19. So maybe what I'll do next is share my screen. I've put together a quick presentation just outlining a little bit about this upcoming school year. So like I said, my name is Keith Lehman. I teach Algebra 1 here, among other math courses. And a little bit more about myself. I've lived in North Fargo my entire life. I don't really plan on leaving either. It's just a great place to call home as far as I'm concerned. In 2013, I graduated from North. 2017, I graduated from NDSU. I have a double major in math and math education there. And then in this past spring semester, so spring of 2020, I graduated from Minot State with a master's in education, and I had a concentration in mathematics. So basically, it was 50% math courses at the graduate level and 50% education courses. In addition to teaching at North, I also coach cross country and track, and currently I'm teaching AP Stats, Algebra 1, and Math in Action. Outside of school, there's not a whole lot of time out of school once August rolls around and we get through May. But when I do have time outside of school, I do like to run. Biking is something I enjoy, reading, and visiting family, most of which is here in the Fargo area. So a little bit about this class. This is a very foundational math course, so what we learn in this class is definitely going to help students when they go to geometry, algebra 2, and so on. There are some applications that we learn when it comes to this content, but really the gist that we try to get out of this class is building those foundational skills in order to move on. So as you can see, we start with a little more familiar topics for students. If they are coming out of 8th grade, they've likely seen a lot of this in semester 1. We're just going to dig a little deeper into it. Whereas in semester 2, we get into a little less familiar content. In terms of what materials are needed, students really don't need a whole lot. So a pencil, pencils, binder for organization, and then any sort of standard calculator should work. This one that I have to the right is TI-30. It's their scientific calculator. This is not something you should feel obligated to purchase, but it is something that is used in Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2. It's also used in physical science and other science classes. So if a student wants their own, that might be a good one to purchase. I think they're a little more expensive than like your standard dollar store calculator, but to me, it's worth it. It's a really good investment. We do have a classroom set of these calculators, but I am a little hesitant to utilize those only because of the contamination and cross-contamination. So in addition to these materials, I'm also going to provide a workbook for taking notes. So it's guided notes. They don't have to like fill out a blank sheet of paper with notes. It's all fill in the blank. Examples are written there. Everything is pretty well laid out. Paper homework assignments I will also provide, and any in-class activity materials that might be needed. So obviously, with the atypical nature of this year, staying in communication with one another is going to be really important. So from my perspective, communicating with you and with students, EduCal is a really great tool to do that. So EduCal, formerly known as Daily Planner, this is where students can go each day to see what their group, their A through K or L through Z group, will be doing on that day. So what I've done is I've color-coded for each alphabet group. In every day, I will have yellow as the A through K group, and blue is going to be the L through Z group. So as you can see here, Wednesday, September 9th, A through K is in yellow, L through Z is in blue, and that's by your last name. I've also listed here on all particular days, whether that group is in person, so in the classroom setting, or whether they're doing online work. And then I provide a description of what's going on in that learning time. The in-person days, obviously, there's a period time that students have to be in school, but we're going to be a little more flexible on that online time, and I'll explain more about that in a bit. Also, when it comes to staying on track, Google Classroom is going to be a really useful tool. So I've created Algebra 1 2020-2021 for our class, and I've actually sent an email invitation to your student, and they should have that in their school email account. So all they have to do is click it. And this is where we're going to upload all of our assignments, whether they're paper assignments or online assignments. All of them are going to be submitted through Google Classroom. The reason I've opted to not do any in-person turning in papers is two reasons, really. If and when we do go fully online, students won't be able to physically turn in papers. So I think it's a good idea to practice turning things in online in Google Classroom while there's a little bit of support in person here. Also, from a personal perspective, I don't think that handling a lot of papers is really a good idea with this virus going around. So your student is actually able to invite you as a parent to follow Google Classroom, and that might be something, if you can talk them into allowing you to do that, that might be good just so you can keep an eye on things as well. The last online resource we have is something called Delta Math. And Delta Math is something I'm going to use more for those online days. It's really useful because it is the same content that we're covering in class, except that students can complete it all online. There's no need to take a picture of a paper, upload it. It's all within Delta Math. This is going to be really useful on those online days because as students complete assignments, they enter answers. If they get it incorrect, it automatically gives them feedback on what they need to review. There are video tips in there as well if students are stuck, because I, as the classroom teacher, will be teaching a different group of students on those online days. So I'm trying to be as accessible as possible for giving help, but this is just another way to kind of add a layer of support as we progress through the school year. So in terms of staying on track this year, in general, the notes, activities, and any assessments we do are going to be given in class. And then online days are going to be a little more flexible. Like I said, it's not like they have to log in at 10:37 every day or whatever their class period is. They can do that on their own time. And that's going to be time for practice, for homework, and for activities that I assign. I might even throw a project in here and there. So just watch EduCal for that. I try to update EduCal and be as detailed as possible on there. Also, like I said, Google Classroom is where we're going to turn in all assignments. The only exception to that is Delta Math, because Delta Math is actually its own system. So students log in and complete all assignments in Delta Math. They don't have to upload anything also to Google Classroom. And one final note, I'm really trying to be willing, and historically I have been willing to help students out, especially if they're willing to put in the work themselves. One thing I really appreciate out of students is if they're willing to advocate for themselves. So if they notice that they're struggling or that they're falling behind, please encourage them to come talk to me, come email me. I'm more than willing to help outside of class to get the work done and help them succeed this year. Now, of course, if I notice that they're falling behind and they're not coming in to talk to me, I'll contact you, I'll contact them, and we can work together to form a plan to move forward. Speaking of getting help, so there are quite a few options this year for getting help in really any curricular area. The first one is something called Spartan Hour or Spartan Period. And this is Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 8:35 a.m. And period 1 is going to start at 8:45. So this is actually before the regular school day. And what this is an opportunity for students to meet one-on-one or in a small group setting with their core teachers. So for example, math is on Mondays and Fridays from 8 to 8:35. If a student is struggling and they would like to get some help, they can come in during that time to get some little more individualized help. Also, I get to school well before that 8 o'clock time. So if a student is in with a different teacher during 8 to 8:35, they are more than willing to come to school, come to my classroom before that 8 o'clock obligation. After school is going to be an option sometimes. Just know that I do coach track and field in the spring and then cross country in the fall. So the winter time will be available. I hope that sports don't get called off, but if they do, then I would also be available after school. I do have a couple of prep hours that are supposed to be for preparing materials and that kind of stuff, but students can come in if they let me know. I've got periods 2 and 6 off. And if nothing else works, I'm willing to Zoom. I bring my computer home every night to get some work done so I can hop on Zoom, even if it's just for a couple minutes to answer your questions. So all of these options are available for getting help, but I would just appreciate if students gave a little bit of notice, just so that I'm not planning something else during the time they want to come in. So that's it for now. I would encourage you, if you have any questions, reach out anytime. If you have any specific concerns with your student, please pass those along to me. Email is probably the best way to get in contact with me, and that's displayed here on the screen. Phone, if you leave a voicemail, it's my office phone, so I'm not there too often. But that goes directly to my email, so feel free to leave a message if you want. But other than that, I know, like I said, it's going to be an atypical school year, but to me, I really want this to be a meaningful experience for students. I want them to enjoy themselves. So I'm going to do all that I can to provide a positive learning experience. So have a great last day of summer for those who are not coming back on Wednesday. And like I said, if you have any questions or concerns, please reach out. And I look forward to meeting all of you here pretty soon.